This page is the front cover of the official Nintendo magazine, can't you tell? Right in your face it's screaming Zen 64, biggest and the best, they reckon. Well, they would say that, wouldn't they? Big red Nintendo logo as always, classic look. Looks like Donkey Kong 64 is the main pull here. First play it says, Game of the Year. Bit early to be calling it Game of the Year, considering it's not even out yet, but hey, gotta sell magazines, right? Big picture of DK grinning like a loon, can't miss him. Corrington Dorcas. Zelda's getting some love too, 7 pages new shots and info. Probably Ocarina of Time stuff again, still going strong that one, and links there looking all heroic on the side. Player's choice. Awesome, N64 games at new budget price. Always banging on about the budget range games they are. Top N64 guides, Duke Nukem 0 Hour, and WWF Attitude are mentioned. Not bad choices for guides, I suppose. Down at the bottom they've got Jet Force Gemini Ace Shooter reviewed. Rare game that, bit of a Marmite one, you either loved it or hated it. And ISS Millennium, all new N64 shots. Football game, looked alright at the time, if you were into that sort of thing. £2.95 it costs. Best value apparently, not bad for your pocket money I guess. Standard N64 mag cover really, bit loud, bit colourful, does the job. This advertisement hypes Rayman 2 for the Nintendo 64. The ad touts a new dimension for the hero, Rayman, and details the game's premise. Robo-pirates have captured Rayman's friends. The game promises 20 worlds, 40 hours of gameplay, groundbreaking graphics, and addictive platforming action. The ad lists features like top-notch gameplay, real-time 3D, suspense, and breakneck action, alongside innovative character transportation and unique gaming environments. It also boasts groundbreaking cinematic sequences and stunning lighting effects, with a high-resolution mode available with the expansion pack. A quote from official Nintendo gives the game a 91% rating. The ad aims to generate excitement for the 3D platformer. This page is a full-on advert for Rayman 2, The Great Escape on the N64. Blimey, remember this one? Ubisoft really went all out with this ad, didn't they? It's got Rayman himself, all broken up into his separate bits, floating in the air, which is quite eye-catching. You've got the gamebox art there, and a couple of little screenshots, showing off the in-game action. They're really pushing this quote from Total 64 magazine, slapping a massive 94% on it, and saying it's a remarkable platformer that'll have you saying kiss goodbye to your social life. Bit dramatic, but that was the style back then. It also mentions it's the PAL version, and that it's available on PC CD-ROM as well. They were really trying to get this game out there for everyone, weren't they? Still, 94%, not bad at all, though I always took magazine scores with a pinch of salt back in the day. This page is another look at that Rayman 2 advert, carrying on the hype from the previous page. It's the same eye-catching ripped paper style, with Rayman bursting out, limbs and all, with the game's logo front and center. Rayman 2, The Great Escape. They're really hammering home that humorous superhero, with the fastest pace and coolest actions line, bless them. And just in case you missed it, they've stuck out the 22nd of October right at the bottom so you know exactly when to pick it up. Ubisoft were clearly confident this one was going to be a big hit on the N64. This page is all about why this magazine reckons it's the best Nintendo mag in the UK. Bold claim, eh? Biggest selling, they say. Well, good for them. They've got their 6 promises, which are basically the usual magazine guff first. For news, loads of screenshots, easy to read, tips and cheats, trustworthy writers, and basically saying don't bother with any other mags. Cheeky. There's a photo of the Team Nintendo blokes. Tim, Mark, Jason, Rory, Sean, Dave and Alex Century. Bless them, they look like they're having a right laugh. You get a peek at the magazine cover itself, November issue for £2.95. Donkey Kong 64 is splashed all over it. The N64's Game of the Year they're calling it. Bit early to be handing out Game of the Year awards in November, isn't it? Still, Donkey Kong 64 was a big deal back then. Massive collectathon platformer. Rare at their peak, though maybe a bit too much collecting for some. They're also teasing 7 pages on Zelda. Always a winner. Player's choice. NA64 games. And guides. Looks like Jet Force Gemini and ISS Millennium are getting a mention too. DI. And if you need to get in touch, they've got their address in London, and phone numbers for Nintendo problems, and if you can't find the mag in the shops, Lorraine Russell is the one to call apparently. Quick flick. Turn the page, they say. Alright then, let's see what's next. This magazine cover heavily promotes Donkey Kong 64 as the N64 Game of the Year, with a promised in-depth playtest on page 6, showcasing characters, levels, and minigames. Zelda, Ocarina of Time gets continued coverage on page 18, highlighting its classic status with potential tips. A game news section at the bottom features a large list of new games, including titles for both the N64 and Game Boy Color, such as Castlevania 2, Pokémon Yellow, and Super Smash Bros. More game news is promised on page 94. This issue's index highlights reviews, including Rare's Jet Force Gemini, touted as the greatest sci-fi blastathon. Sports games like NFL Quarterback Club 2000 and Knockout Kings 2000 are also reviewed. Gauntlet Legends and Tonic Trouble receive mentions as well. The Blagfest competition offers prizes like Shadow Man and Lego toys. The Game Guide section features Duke Nukem 0 Hour, with claimed best tips, alongside guides for WWF Attitude. The issue concludes with Game Boy Color coverage, focusing on Mission Impossible and Tarzan, emphasizing the month's releases. This page is all about Donkey Kong 64, and they're really laying it on thick, aren't they? Big game, first play, and even best platformer ever. Talk about setting expectations high. It's a 3D platformer from Nintendo, naturally, slated for December 1999 release. The magazine text is full of the usual bluster. Wait is almost over, N64 magic, and claiming it's looking better than ever. The main article is titled Platforming Perfection, and they're not shy about comparing it to Mario, saying, "Step aside, Mario," which is a bit bold, even for Donkey Kong. It's all about Donkey Kong facing off against King Cookie Rule and his Kremlings, trying to save DK Island from some crazy invention. They mention tons of levels packed with games and puzzles, plus multiplayer. The screenshots show a bit of gameplay. One with Donkey Kong facing off against some Kremlings, and another in a level with snake-like enemies. The captions are pure hype as well, calling it an adventure of a lifetime and greatest game of 1999, and highlighting the minigames with minecart races and slides. Standard stuff for a magazine preview back then, full of over-the-top claims. This page is indeed continuing the Donkey Kong 64 lovin'. They've gone full throttle with the big game headline right at the top, in bright red so you can't miss it. Underneath its first play, and they're still pushing that best platformer ever line. Clearly they are really trying to convince us this is going to be massive. It's pretty much a full-page promotional piece for Donkey Kong 64, showing a close-up of DK himself grinning away. He's looking rather pleased with himself, tongue out, the whole shebang. You can see a bit of his red tie, and the DK logo. It's a very in-your-face image, meant to grab your attention, I suppose. There's not much actual text on this page other than the headlines and the game title and Nintendo 64 logo in the corner, so it's purely visual to get you excited about Donkey Kong 64 after reading the previous page. Simple but effective marketing, really. They're definitely putting all their eggs in the Donkey Kong basket for Christmas '99, aren't they? Donkey Kong 64 aims to be a big game experience, promising a fun intro similar to Banjo-Kazooie. The game features a quirky rap performance. The plot involves King K. Rool attempting to destroy DK Island with the Blastomatic. Players must rescue their chums by mastering controls at Cranky Kongs. Players will rescue Cranky K. Lumsy, a giant Kremling. The game introduces the 5 playable Kongs: Donkey Kong, Yellow, Bongo Drums, Coconut Shooter, Diddy Kong, Red, Electric Guitar, Peanut Pop Guns, and Tiny Kong, Purple, Saxophone, Featherbow. Each Kong has unique abilities and weapons. The game's colorful presentation and classic rare charm are highlighted. This text details the initial gameplay elements of Donkey Kong 64. The first level, Jungle Japes, tasks players with rescuing Diddy Kong from the Kremlings. Gameplay mechanics include the B button for attack, the 3D stick for movement, Z plus B for weapons, and the trigger for ducking. Players collect bananas and Banana Bunch coins. The first boss battle involves defeating Armadillo using TNT barrels. Barrel Blast games offer prizes, including gold bananas. The text also introduces Lanky Kong, Blue Trombone Grape Pipe, and Chunky Kong, Green Triangle Pineapple Launcher, completing the playable Kong crew. The game aims to be large in scope, with a variety of content, hinting at the typical Rare design approach. Monster Truck Madness 64, a Nintendo 64 game, promises high-octane destruction with the tagline, "Reach out and crush someone." Featuring iconic trucks like Bigfoot and Gravedigger, the game offers 7 modes, including circuit racing, rumble, police chase, and even Monster Truck Soccer. The game boasts 15 additional monster trucks and includes World Championship Wrestling-themed vehicles like NWO and Hollywood Hogan trucks, capitalizing on late 90s trends. Up to 4 players can compete in multiplayer mayhem. Screenshots showcase the game's blocky graphics, highlighting trucks jumping and smashing. Published by Take-Two Interactive and developed by Edge of Reality, with Microsoft and Rockstar Games logos present, the game embodies the late 90s aesthetic and frantic monster truck action. This page previews the Angry Aztec level in Donkey Kong 64. It introduces key characters: Snide, Candy Kong, Troffenscoff, Funky Kong, and Wrinkly Kong. The level itself is a desert environment filled with kremlings, requiring players to find Lanky and Tiny Kong. Gameplay involves using Diddy's swinging ability and Lanky's reach, along with platforming challenges. A section details rescuing Tiny Kong by using Chumpy Charge to activate switches and reveal letters. Completing this opens her prison, showcasing the game's collectathon gameplay. Finally, the page highlights Diddy's guitar, used to melt ice and uncover tunnels via sunlight, introducing a puzzle element. The preview aims to showcase the diverse puzzles and gameplay typical of Donkey Kong 64. This page is a full-on poster for Donkey Kong 64, proper N64 era stuff. It's got all the Kong crew crammed onto that minecart thingy, Donkey Kong himself at the front with a determined look, Diddy clinging on the side, then you've got Lanky, Tiny and Chunky all piled in behind. Classic rare artwork from back in the day. No actual text or game info on this page, just a big splash of Donkey Kong Country goodness to stick on your wall, I suppose. Probably came free with the magazine. Those were the days when you actually got posters and stuff with your mags, not just tatty bits of paper. Good bit of nostalgia for anyone who was into their N64 back then. Donkey Kong 64 features a variety of collectibles, including banana balloons, oranges, crystal coconuts, melon crates, blueprints, bananas, golden bananas, and banana bunch coins. These items are crucial for progressing through the game, unlocking levels, and purchasing equipment. The game also includes bonus games accessed via Battle Arena pads, offering minigame challenges. Frantic Factory, a massive toy factory level, is described as a highlight, although it requires the N64 expansion pack. Finally, Donkey Kong 64 allows players to access the original Donkey Kong arcade game, offering a dose of nostalgia. The game also hints at the hidden inclusion of Jetpack, adding to the retro experience. This guide explores essential items in Donkey Kong 64. DK portals offer level shortcuts. Tag barrels switch between Kongs, each with unique abilities. Cranky's barrels provide new moves, vital for secrets. Troffenscoff doors unlock bonus rooms with bananas. Nanoport's pads enable level warping, and Cranky's pads relate to special moves. Camera film captures banana fairies. The guide then spotlights Gloomy Galleon, discussing underwater navigation and battling Capture Shake. Rules Fleet. On Guard the Swordfish helps uncover treasure. The guide culminates with a boss battle against a giant fish, requiring the use of DK stars for attack. The game's massive scope and secrets kept players engaged for hours. This guide offers tips for navigating Donkey Kong 64's levels. Fungi Forest is a large level with day/night changes, exploring mills and fighting enemies. DK Classic levels include minecart sections requiring precision. Use Chunky Kong and jumping to collect DK coins and bananas. The guide advises sniping enemies from afar with the fruit gun. Crystal Caves is a slippery winter level, where Lanky Kong's balloon ability is key. Timing is critical. The Crystal Cave Slide is a fast-paced minigame. Collect coins and use Lanky's handstand. Finally, remember Troff the Pig, who unlocks boss doors in exchange for bananas. This page previews Donkey Kong 64, focusing on the Creepy Castle level, which features a mini-motor race with Tiny Kong. The game also boasts multiplayer modes, Battle Arena with fruit guns and Monkey Smash, a free-for-all platform battle. The final battle against King K. Rool involves a chase sequence. The page mentions the Banana Fairy, introducing a collectible-focused camera feature. It also highlights the game's Christmas release, a limited edition Green 64, and a hefty £60 price tag including the expansion pack. The review concludes with predictions of Donkey Kong 64 being a massive hit and the best game of 1999, reflecting the high expectations surrounding the title. The next page is a bit of a random one. It's an advert for Poppet Sweets, those little chocolate ball things. They're doing a promo where if you collect 6 opening tabs from their packets and send off 50p for postage, they'll give you a free 35mm disposable camera. Right, camera for life they're calling it. Bit cheeky, but hey, free camera. You fill in your details to send off for it. Looks like a bit of a faff really for a cheapo camera. It even says you'll need to pay extra to get the photos developed when you're done. Sneaky. Still, free is free, I suppose. This article previews the then upcoming Legend of the Continuing Saga, better known as the Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, a massive new adventure for the Nintendo 64, slated for March 2000. The game, developed by Nintendo, is touted as a 3D adventure with a new Zelda plot and the innovative use of masks, allowing transformations. The article highlights new characters, worlds, puzzles, dungeons, and monsters, emphasizing the game's potential to surpass Ocarina of Time. The N64 expansion pack is also mentioned, promising loads of cool features. With quotes from Shigeru Miyamoto and enticing screenshots, the preview aimed to generate excitement, succeeding in building anticipation for the next major N64 release. The next page is a full-on advert for Zelda. Right in your face, big letters, Zelda Saga, it screams, with Link wielding his sword ready for action. It's clearly playing on the hype from the previous page's preview of Majora's Mask, claiming it's the greatest N64 game of all time, and telling you to sharpen that sword and join Link on his wicked new adventure. Bit much, isn't it? Still, it gets the message across that Zelda is coming, and it's a big deal on the N64. There's not much else to it really, just pure hype to get you excited about playing the new Zelda game. This page is really digging into the new Zelda, Majora's Mask. After that full-page advert, they are keen to get everyone properly excited, aren't they? The plot thickens, explains the story setup. Link is just riding through the forest after Ocarina of Time, when this skull kid wearing a mask suddenly steals Epona and buggers off to some warped dimension. Link chases after him, and finds himself in a familiar Hyrule, but everything's a bit off, and the moon is about to fall and crush everyone. Miyamoto himself even chimes in to say you'll be mostly playing as childhood Link, but there will be sections where you control adult Link too, and masks are going to be crucial, hence the title, Majora's Mask, right? The "Hey little fella" section highlights that it's young Link, but with new moves and weapons, and you can ride Epona and jump across platforms, which is a bit different. Time's ticking away section really focuses on the time pressure aspect. You're in a town a bit like Kakariko Village, with this huge clock tower, and you've got a limited time to stop the moon from destroying Hyrule. The screenshots show Link on Epona in a forest, Skull Kid looking mischievous, and that ominous clock tower looming over the town. It all looks a bit darker and more urgent than your usual Zelda, with this constant time pressure mechanic, definitely something new for the series. This text highlights key features of Majora's Mask. The game's core mechanic revolves around a strict time limit that constantly counts down, unlike previous Zelda titles. Players can acquire more time from a merchant. The game introduces magical masks, allowing Link to transform. Notable masks include the Deku Scrub, Zora, and Goron masks. The Deku mask grants abilities like water skipping and gliding, while the Zora mask allows for swift aquatic travel. The Goron mask enables powerful punches and rolling locomotion, even being compared to a racing game. A specific Goron minigame involves rolling into a ball to defeat Skulltulas, incorporating aggressive maneuvers to eliminate opponents. The game promises a departure from traditional Zelda gameplay, with the masks offering diverse transformations and gameplay styles. This text discusses The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, highlighting its key features. The game requires the expansion pack for enhanced graphics, special effects, and more enemies, making battles tougher and Hyrule appear more realistic. The expansion pack also improves enemy AI. The game introduces new musical instruments beyond the ocarina, used to solve puzzles and unlock areas. A significant gameplay element is the Deku Scrub mask, which allows Link to transform into a Deku Scrub, utilizing flower-based abilities for movement and combat. The text suggests a departure from traditional Zelda gameplay, focusing on unique transformations and musical elements. This page is an advert for something called Reach for the Sky, from Sky TV. Looks like they're trying to get kids interested in different careers. They're saying life is like a game with hidden levels, a bit cheesy, but alright. Apparently, Sky is offering workshops to help young people find their undiscovered talents. They've got these boxes with pictures and job titles, things like director film, music producer, zoologist, professional footballer, and 3D designer. Standard stuff, really, trying to appeal to a broad range. Oh, it mentions you can get free magazines, Reach for the Sky, which they describe as a cutting-edge zine with tips and advice. Sounds a bit like those career magazines you used to get in school, but they've sections on environment and science and technology, to make it sound relevant to the times, I suppose. They even mention a journalism section, and a questionnaire to find your hidden talents. Pretty standard stuff aimed at youngsters who haven't got a clue what they want to do when they grow up. Easy. Apparently you could also win a place on a 4-day course tailored to your talents, and there are 1,200 places up for grabs. You have to ring a free number, or go to their website, sky2000.co.uk, to get involved. It's all free, they keep saying, which is always a bonus. Probably trying to drum up some good PR for Sky. Fair enough. The Zora Mask in Majora's Mask grants Link enhanced aquatic abilities, allowing for incredibly fast swimming. This mask unlocks several water-based minigames. One such game involves racing against 2 beavers down a river. The race incorporates challenges like avoiding obstacles and collecting driftwood for the beaver's dam. Successfully navigating the race and gathering the sticks is essential, otherwise you're left to float alone. Screenshots show Link as Zora Link in the water, racing, and before the race begins, wearing the mask. The race includes hazards like fallen trees and a tunnel section where collision with the beavers is possible. This article previews the upcoming Zelda game, Majora's Mask. Epona receives a significant upgrade, usable in various environments beyond Hyrule Field, integrating her more fully into the gameplay. Bosses are described as impressively large and complex, featuring diverse attack patterns. An interview with Miyamoto reveals his reduced role as a producer, emphasizing character depth and challenging enemies over Ocarina of Time's formula. He hints at a unique gameplay experience, downplaying the focus on game length. Miyamoto expresses humility regarding Ocarina of Time's legacy, noting a shift towards emphasizing friendships. He also touches on the unconfirmed 64DD version, and teases a new Nintendo controller design. Finally, he reassures fans that Nintendo aims to create original games in their own style, catering to UK audiences. This page is all about game reviews, typical stuff for Nintendo mags back in the day. They've got a how they score box, explaining their rating system, which is pretty standard. 044 is rubbish, all the way up to 90,100 being amazing game you must play. They even have an awesome award, which is only for games scoring over 90%, meaning it's seriously top tier stuff. The main review here is for Jet Force Gemini on the N64. It's got the Nintendo Awesome tag on it, so you know it's got a high score. They mention you play as Velo, Juno, and Lupus the dog, and call it a space blast and bone-breaking action. Sounds like they're pretty hyped about it. Other games mentioned include Gauntlet Legends, described as a 90s version of the classic with madcap platform fun, featuring Tonic Trouble. Then there's Knockout Kings 2000, a boxing game, promising jab, hook, duck and weave action for the heavyweight title. And lastly, NFL QB Club 2000, promising bone-breaking action again. These guys seem to like that phrase, don't they? It's for quarterback club fans. Overall, the page is setting out their stall for game reviews, highlighting Jet Force Gemini as a standout title that's received their top award, alongside some other N64 games they are covering. It's all about telling you what's worth playing on your N64. Nintendo Magazine is incredibly excited about Jet Force Gemini, awarding it an awesome rating and predicting its immense popularity. They declare it's potentially Rare's best game, highlighting the incredible levels and frantic action. The review praises the graphics, mentioning the evil Mizar's galactic conquest and the need to stop him. The article emphasizes the game's action, showcasing screenshots with captions like, "Pump the ants guts full of lead," and "Rock hard beasts." The magazine is clearly hyping Jet Force Gemini, presenting it as a must-buy N64 title, especially for fans of shooters. Jet Force Gemini is reviewed, highlighting its awesome status. The game's plot revolves around the Gemini team, Juno, Vela and Lupus, thwarting the evil Mizar. Players control these characters, starting with Juno, followed by Vela, and then Lupus, the dog with a jetpack. The gameplay begins on Goldwood, where Magnus provides context for Mizar's plans. The review details item pickups, including ammo crates for bullets, gem holders for health, colored gems for energy, and gun chests for weapons. The game emphasizes action, focusing on combat and power-ups. This Jet Force Gemini review guides players through early game stages. Down in the Woods details the first level, focusing on combat against ants, including sniper ants and hidden tribals. Lighting the Way advises navigating the game's vast world using green and red markers, The Looks section praises the game's impressive N64 graphics. Open Your Route covers door types and their unlocking methods, with standard action game mechanics. First Tip offers combat advice for shielded ants, suggesting flanking or grenades. Finally, Mizar tokens are introduced as collectible items for appearance changes, adding a collect-a-thon element. The review suggests a deep action game with exploration and shooting, showcasing Rare's typical polish. Jet Force Gemini's weapons are the stars, offering diverse combat options. The review details 6 weapons. The pistol, weak but ammo efficient. Grenades, good for groups, risky to the user. Plasma rifle, powerful but slow to charge. Tri-rocket, one-hit kills, limited ammo. Machine gun, rapid fire, ammo hungry. And homing missiles, easy targeting, scarce ammo. The game's sound design, especially explosions, is praised, although the wording is a bit over the top. Gameplay tips cover taking out enemies by using lock-on targeting with the Z and R buttons. The Sessanubis section advises exploring the ship after Goldwood Forest, avoiding armed ants, and watching out for traps. This page is a right blast from the past, isn't it? It's a full-page advert for Tonic Trouble, remember that one? Ed's in a stew, it says in big letters. Sounds about right for most of these N64 games. A bit of a mixed bag sometimes. It's got this fella Ed, looking a bit like a purple block with arms, smack bang in the middle, and he's apparently Super Ed to the rescue. Apparently some tonic got dropped from the sky, and now the world's gone balmy. Classic N64 stuff. Ewa. The description talks about killer vegetables, sangria glaciers, and a tyrannical Viking called Grona the Hellish. Sounds like they were really throwing everything at the wall with this one. It's a 3D action adventure, where you have to help Ed become Super Ed and save the universe. Blimey. It's for PC CD-ROM and the Nintendo 64 of course, back when you had to decide which platform to get your fix on. Nestle Crunch are even on board as an official partner. Those were the days when anything went. Website address is there too. Imagine dial-up speeds trying to load that back then. Right at the bottom, Ubisoft logo. Yeah, they were knocking out a fair few titles back then, weren't they? Good times. Good times. This review highlights key aspects of Jet Force Gemini, a game by Rare. The tips include using the environment for cover, particularly noting the explosive oil drums. Robot trading with Diamond Giza offers health and weapon upgrades. The reviewer mentions collecting gold for Fishface on Cerulean to obtain a tri-rocket launcher. The game's vastness is emphasized, boasting over 150 levels. Finally, the review details the need to repair the droid Floyd by finding his scattered parts on Torfret, a murky swamp. The review concludes that Jet Force Gemini was a solid game, offering a straightforward guide for players. This Jet Force Gemini review highlights key features. Lupus, the rocket pack-equipped dog, joins the team after defeating a boss. Multiplayer, dubbed Gung Ho Glory, offers target range and battle mode for up to 4 players. The review then poses a question: is JFG better than GoldenEye? The article also details varied enemies, including Deku Tree spiders, crazed turkeys, and giant wasps. Finally, the game receives a 93% score and the Nintendo Awesome tag, with praise for its gameplay despite challenging controls. The reviewer calls it a dream shoot-'em-up by Rare. NFL Quarterback Club 2000 for the N64, released at a premium price, promised a big and bold American football experience. The game offered standard features like historic simulations, an improved playbook, and multiplayer for up to 4 players. It boasted impressive graphics, lifelike replays, and engaging commentary. However, the review criticized the gameplay. The new pinpoint passing system, designed for greater control, was deemed overly difficult, leading to dropped passes. While the game provided ample content for fans, the core gameplay was described as jerky, making passing a frustrating experience. Ultimately, the review gave the game an 80%, noting its good qualities but suggesting it was only suited for die-hard American football fans, highlighting style over substance. This page is an advert for Michael Owen's World League Soccer 2000 on the N64. The buy of the season, it boldly proclaims, and they're really pushing the boat out with review quotes. 91% from 64 magazine and 90% from total N64 magazine. Not bad scores back then, even if you take magazine scores with a pinch of salt, eh? It's all about unsurpassed realism, silky smooth gameplay, and exceptional graphics apparently. They're really going for it, aren't they? Listing the features, you get the usual blurb, over 200 teams to pick from, 20 special move combinations, arcade graphics, motion capture with Michael Owen himself, and commentary by Peter Brackley. Looking at the screenshots, it's football alright, blocky polygons and all that, but for the N64 era, it probably looked alright at the time. Silicon Dreams developed it and THQ published it. Seems like a decent footy game for the console, if you were into that sort of thing back then. Gauntlet Legends on 64 is a classic fighting adventure. This review highlights its 4-player co-op, tick-box achievements, and fantasy adventure gameplay. The game, priced at £39.99, sees players choosing from 4 warrior types to battle monsters and defeat Scorn, a sorcerer threatening the kingdom of Ataria. The goal is to find 13 magical stones, scattered across detailed, 3D levels. While some smaller enemy visuals are criticized, the bigger monsters and character animations are considered good. The review concludes that Gauntlet Legends provides mindless fun and is best enjoyed with friends. This review of Gauntlet Legends on the N64 highlights its core gameplay. Players choose from 4 classes: Warrior, Archer, Valkyrie, and Wizard, each with unique strengths and weaknesses. The audio features impactful sound effects, fitting the game's hack-and-slash nature. The review emphasizes exploration for items, teamwork through cooperative play, especially with 4 players, and strategic class usage. The gameplay involves a lot of button mashing, but the multiplayer aspect keeps it engaging. The game received an 83% rating, praised as a fun sword and sorcery adventure, particularly enjoyable with friends. The reviewer considers it a worthwhile purchase for fans of the genre. Tonic Trouble for the N64 is reviewed with generally positive but somewhat lukewarm reception. The game's vibrant, cartoonish visuals, particularly the creature designs, were praised, although the levels were noted as visually repetitive. The story is a silly, light-hearted affair, where Ed, an alien, must stop the villain Grog and the mutant menace he controls. Gameplay is standard platforming, with Ed acquiring new skills and weapons, like a magic wand, bow tie, and pogo stick. The review suggests a moderate playtime, with experienced gamers completing it in a few weeks. Awarded an 82% score, the review tempers its praise by calling the game a little disappointing and a little too easy, recommending a rental before purchase. Ultimately, it's deemed visually appealing but not a must-buy. This is an advertisement for Match magazine, emphasizing its dominance in the football magazine market. It touts itself as the UK's biggest-selling football magazine and highlights key features to entice young readers. The magazine's sections showcase the best results service with updates on top teams like Liverpool, Manchester United, and Tottenham, featuring Michael Owen's comeback. The best posters feature Leeds United, Chelsea, and Liverpool, plus totally flash football posters. The best competitions offers chances to win with a Ryan Giggs cover and mentions of Tottenham, Chelsea, and Liverpool. Finally, the best stars includes an exclusive interview with David Beckham, Arsenal's Wenger, and other famous players. The magazine, priced at 99p, was essential reading for young football fans, emphasizing posters as a major selling point. Knockout Kings 2000 for the N64 is reviewed as a groundbreaking boxing game, priced at £44.95 upon its November 12 release. Boasting standard and 64 features, like multiplayer, memory pack, and rumble pack support, the game earned high praise for its realistic movement, lifelike boxers, and excellent gameplay. Players could enjoy various game modes, including Quick Start, Career Mode, Multiplayer, and the Creator Boxer feature. The game incorporated cinematic intro sequences and engaging music. Players could select their fight location, from Wembley Arena to Caesar's Palace, and utilize a Tale of the Tape feature to view fighter stats before bouts. The game included legendary boxers like Aaron Pryor, Roberto Duran, and Muhammad Ali, each with their unique strengths and weaknesses. The review concludes that Knockout Kings 2000 was a solid boxing title for the N64. Knockout Kings 2000 aims for realism, mirroring televised boxing with tactical gameplay. Players can't just button mash. Weaving, jabbing, and waiting for openings are crucial. Combos are simplified with a single button, each fighter having 3 unique ones, and strategic footwork is encouraged. The game stresses smart play, avoid excessive power punches, and capitalize on openings. Career mode is standard, allowing players to train and rise through the ranks. Sound design features realistic grunts, commentary, and crowd noise. Power punches are executed with a meter system. Visually, fighter movement is emphasized for realism. Round-by-round stats are provided for a strategic experience and are used for scoring in the event of a points decision. This page in Official Nintendo Magazine is having a look at Knockout Kings 2000 for the N64. It's all about creating your own boxer first off, customizing their look and skills, proper 90s style customization, wacky hairstyles and all that. Then it talks about the multiplayer, box your buddies they call it, saying it's the best part, getting your mates round for a scrap. They mention the call system, where you gotta wiggle the 3D stick to get up. Everyone remembers that panic. Warrantor. There's a bit about game length, saying career mode will keep you going and playing against mates is where it's at. Then they talk about the Let's See That Again feature, which is the replay highlights, so you can properly rub it in your mate's face when you knock them out. The review wraps up giving it an ace score of 87%, saying it's a beat 'em up that's all about pure power punching and at its best in multiplayer. Sounds like they reckon it's a good laugh with mates, even if the single player might get a bit old after a while. This advertisement promotes a mail-order selection of retro gaming goods. The N64 offerings include the Solus Pack for £75, console and one controller, and a Player's Choice bundle for £110, console and 2 games from a list of popular titles like Mario Kart 64 and GoldenEye. Individual N64 games like DK64, Super Smash Bros., Jet Force Gemini, and Turok Rage Wars are also available. The Game Boy section features the Game Boy Color for £60, Pokemon Red or Blue for £23, and a pick and mix selection of games at around £19 to £23 each. Accessories like printer paper and carry cases are also advertised. Orders could be placed via mail or phone, with payment options including check or credit card. The next page is all about saving your pennies on some top-end 64 games. It's got a headline screaming, "Don't fork out, guys," which is pretty direct, even for a games mag. They're going on about how you shouldn't be spending a fortune to get some cracking games, especially with the prices they're talking about. Gui Warrington, they're bigging up a few titles in particular. There's Super Mario 64, obviously, still a stone-cold classic even back then. GoldenEye 007 is there too, the game that redefined console shooters, let's be honest. Banjo-Kazooie gets a mention, rare at their peak, proper fun platforming that. Then they chuck in F-Zero X and 1080 snowboarding. F-Zero X is mental fast racing, could make your eyes bleed, it was so quick, and 1080 snowboarding was decent snow action, though maybe a bit less iconic than the others. They're basically saying, these are the must-own 64 games, and you can get them for a steal, which ties in with the previous page pushing console bundles and cheaper games. Good shout if you were just getting into the N64 at that point, or trying to fill out your collection without emptying your wallet. This page continues the theme of getting more bang for your buck with Nintendo 64 games. It's a Player's Choice review page, and it's got this funny image of a scarecrow dressed up like Mario, looking a bit worse for wear, bless him. He's even got a sign asking for penny for the guy, which is a bit cheeky, even for Mario. He's surrounded by game boxes, including Banjo-Kazooie, 1080 snowboarding and Doom 64. These are all clearly being pushed as part of the Player's Choice range. You know, the budget games for those who didn't want to fork out full price for the newest releases. Sensible stuff really. They're basically saying you can still get top-notch N64 games without emptying your wallet, and these Player's Choice titles are the way to do it. Good games at a decent price, can't argue with that really. This Player's Choice review of Super Mario 64 highlights its appeal at a reduced price. The review, titled Platform-tastic, emphasizes the game's size and the classic Bowser Peach storyline. It boasts wackiest levels and promises to consume the player's time. The review includes brief snippets on enemies like Bobo MBS and Booze, offering basic gameplay tips. The Look section praises the game's visuals as eye-popping. The Loads of Baddies section reinforces the challenge, touting both familiar and new foes. Overall, the review's tone is enthusiastic, though it feels redundant, as the game's quality was already well established. This review, titled Winter Wonderland, praises 1080-degree snowboarding for the N64 as a Player's Choice title. The review highlights the game's speed, variety of characters, boards and modes, including 2-player and trick modes. It also mentions gameplay tips and screenshots, showcasing stunts and wipeouts within snowy mountain environments. The game retailed for £29.99 and received a 90% score from the Nintendo official magazine, which called it a stunner, with jaw-dropping scenery and mental speed. The review ultimately recommends the game, emphasizing its fast-paced action, solid graphics, and overall quality as a top snowboarding title on the N64. GoldenEye 007 for the N64 is reviewed as a groundbreaking shooter and Player's Choice title. The review highlights the engaging single-player campaign, with numerous missions, secret bases, and Bond-esque gadgets and weaponry, including 19 guns and the Golden Gun. The multiplayer mode is described as Mayhem, offering a wide variety of characters to play as, and providing hours of entertainment. The graphics were impressive for the time, and the iconic Bond theme and atmospheric sounds enhanced the experience. The game received a score of 94% from the Nintendo official magazine, proclaiming it the best N64 multiplayer shooter. The review strongly recommended it, suggesting anyone who hadn't bought it was missing out on a must-have game that everyone owned. This article highlights 2 Nintendo 64 Player's Choice games, signifying their high quality as recognized by the official Nintendo magazine. Banjo-Kazooie, a colorful platformer, earns a 96% score, lauded as a classic from start to finish. Players control Banjo and Kazooie as they rescue 2 Cardi from Gruntilda. The game is praised for its looks, gameplay and addictiveness, priced at £29.99. F-Zero X, a futuristic racing game, receives a 92% score and is described as total mayhem. Set in the 26th century, it features high-speed racing against 30 opponents, with a focus on its fast-paced action and brilliant multiplayer mode. The game also costs £29.99 and offers Rumble Pack support. Both games are considered top-tier titles, earning awesome badges, making them must-haves for platformer and racing fans. This page is a full-page advert, and it's quite a moody one for Zelda, Link's Awakening DX on the Game Boy Color. It's all dark dungeon vibes, skeletons strewn about and flickering torches setting the scene. Right in the middle is a massive, fancy-looking sword, plunged straight into a Game Boy Color, which is showing the game title screen. Bit dramatic, isn't it? Porter. The text is playing up the dungeon theme, saying, "Link's fate lies in your hands," in a gothic font, and then the main selling point. "A new dungeon awaiteth you, Zelda DX now hast added color." And underneath, in big letters, "Feel everything everywhere." A bit much, really, for a handheld game. It's obviously pushing the new Game Boy Color, and the fact that this Zelda classic is now in glorious color. Remember Link's Awakening? Good game back on the original Game Boy, quirky story, sailing around on a boat, proper adventure. Now they've tarted it up in color, and added a new dungeon to get us to buy it again. Fair enough, I suppose. It was a cracking game, and color on the Game Boy was a big deal back then after all that green screen. This Game Boy Color page showcases the handheld, with a purple model displaying A Bug's Life. The page aims to excite readers with a game list including Tarzan, A Bug's Life, Prince of Persia, Chessmaster, 3 Lions, Looney Tunes, and Mission Impossible. The reviewer considers the selection a mixed bag, noting the prevalence of movie and cartoon tie-ins like Disney titles, while also pointing out the unexpected inclusion of Prince of Persia. The page promotes the Game Boy Color as a premier portable gaming experience, emphasizing its color screen. Despite this, the reviewer finds the game selection somewhat generic, leaning heavily into movie adaptations. The tagline highlights gaming on the go, and promises tested game recommendations. This page screams lights, camera, action and Tinseltown, with its big red text announcing Film Fantastic. It's all about movie tying games then. There's a geezer in a tux grinning like he's just won an Oscar, clutching a golden statue. Bit cheesy, isn't it? The tagline is, lights, camera, action, followed by Tinseltown's top flicks now, so they're really laying it on thick. Given the Game Boy Color branding in the corner, it's probably more of the same type of games we saw on the last page movie adaptations for the handheld. It's all a bit film-themed and aimed at cashing in on the big cinema releases at the time. Makes sense for a Nintendo magazine of this era. Gotta keep the punters interested somehow, especially the young'uns who love a bit of Hollywood razzmatazz. The next page continues the movie theme alright, shouting movie magic in big text at the top. We're still on the Game Boy Color, and it looks like they're showcasing a few movie tying games. First up is Tarzan. They're saying you'll be swinging through the jungle, trying to stop humans taking over. There are a couple of screenshots, looks like classic platformer stuff. Jumping on vines and grabbing bananas seems alright if you were into Tarzan at the time. Then there's A Bug's Life. Again, if you love the film you'll love the game apparently. Looks like you're playing as Flick, climbing plants, and hitching rides with animals. Screenshots show some side-scrolling action, bright colors, very kid-friendly I reckon. Finally, they've got Mission Impossible. This one is promising to turn you into Ethan Hunt, busting crimes. Screenshots show a top-down perspective. Looks a bit like those old-school isometric games, trying to crack safes and dodge bullets they reckon. So yeah, pretty standard movie game fare for the Game Boy Color back then. covering the big Disney flicks and the action films that were doing the rounds. Nothing groundbreaking, but probably decent enough distractions for a quick go on the handheld. The Game Boy Color is showcasing new releases. All-Star Tennis 99, a fast-paced tennis game with GameLink, receives an 85% rating. Mission Impossible, a stealth adventure game with a TV remote control feature, is praised, scoring 87%. Three Lions, a football game with GameLink, is heavily criticized for poor controls and receives a low 69%. Paperboy, a conversion of the arcade classic, is deemed fun despite its flaws, earning an 80%. Finally, Chessmaster, a chess game, is mentioned but not reviewed. This page reviews several Game Boy Color titles. Prince of Persia, an 83% game, offers classic platforming with good animation, though some levels are repetitive. Looney Tunes, an 82% platformer, features cartoon action, but is considered too easy. Tarzan, a 90% title, is praised for its excellent visuals, challenging gameplay, and jungle-themed action. A Bug's Life, a 77% game, is deemed too easy and visually inferior to Tarzan. Chessmaster, with a 70% score, provides a solid chess experience, including multiplayer, via a GameLink cable, but is only recommended for chess enthusiasts. This page screams N64 alright, big and bold colors. It's all about Rat Attack. Blimey, 90%. That's a stonking score, putting it right up there with the Tarzan game they were raving about on the Game Boy Color page, though this is clearly on a different scale. They're calling it a Station A Triple A title, which back then was a big deal, basically saying it's top-tier stuff, the kind of game you had to have. It's got a very cartoon-inspired vibe, as Total 64 magazine, whoever they are, put it. Milk-licking, cheese-nibbling excellence, apparently. Sounds like they were a bit excitable. But 90% is 90%. The image is a right plague of rats, loads of the little blighters, and underneath we've got our heroes, a team of cats. Bobcats, Sparky, Muffy DuPont, Hijinks, Manx, Pearl, Chunky, and Smokey. Quite the lineup. Brinton, seems you play as these feline freedom fighters, trying to sort out this rat problem before they take over the world. Fast, furious, funky. That's how they're selling it. Looks like a bit of madcap action, probably aimed at a younger crowd, but with a score like that, it might be decent fun for everyone, even us older lot. Let's be honest, in '99, if it got a 90%, you were at least curious, weren't ya? This ad hypes Rat Attack, boasting a 90% score. The game offers manic 3D rat-catching action for 1 to 4 players, featuring 8 scratch cats, with 1 exclusive to the N64. Players eliminate rats using various methods across 50+ levels and 8 bosses. The artwork is cartoony, with a blue cat and swarming grey rats. Quotes praise its uniqueness and fun, with Play magazine predicting a multiplayer arcade gaming revival. The ad emphasizes multiplayer, a key selling point for the N64. It's targeting both PlayStation and N64 audiences. This page is a full-page advert for the Game Boy Pocket. It's quite a clever one, actually, presenting the Game Boy as if it's an emergency device, like a fire alarm or something, in a red box with the words "in case of emergency break glass" above it. Beneath the Game Boy in the box it says Game Boy, protecting the planet from boredom. It's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek way to say, if you're bored, the Game Boy is the ultimate solution. It's a simple visual ad, making a point about how essential the Game Boy is. This magazine's Total Test section, with Yoshi as its guide, promises comprehensive Nintendo game reviews updated monthly. Features include all new gear reviews of Nintendo accessories, control pads, memory packs, etc., and articles like Famous 5, about sidekicks and bald characters, N64 Magic, focusing on WWF attitude, and charts detailing rental and sales figures. The magazine details its scoring system, ranging from real rubbish, 0 to 44, to amazing game you must play, 90 to 100, with an awesome award for exceptional games. A teaser hints at a Rayman 2 review, promising a potential awesome award. A quick flick directs readers to a review of Jet Force Gemini, a game by Rare. This page reviews various N64 games, highlighting their difficulty and providing scores. Star Wars Racers Abyss Track emphasizes shortcuts for success. The reviews cover a range of genres, with many racing games receiving low scores, such as Aero Fighters Assault, 54%, Aero Gauge, 41%, and Cruisin' USA, 54%. Some standout titles with high scores include All-Star Baseball 99 and 2000, both 90%, Banjo-Kazooie, 96%, Beetle Adventure Racing, 91%, and Diddy Kong Racing and Duke Nukem 0 Hour, both 92%. Other notable scores include Blast Corps, 81%, Buck Bumble, 84%, and Castlevania, 86%. Conversely, some games were heavily criticized, with Clayfighter 63 and a third receiving a dismal 25%. The reviewers seemed particularly fond of the adventure and shooter titles, with many races being less favorably received. This page reviews Nintendo 64 Rumble Packs and games that utilize them. The classic Nintendo Rumble Pack is compared to third-party options. Notable contenders include Joytech's Jolt Packs, budget-friendly, Blaze Jolt Pack, Illuminates, Datel's Shockwave Pack, with memory, Wild Things Vibra Pack, see-through, and Performance's Tremor Packs, with memory. A rechargeable Jolt Pack from Joytech is also praised for value. The page then offers mini-reviews of Rumble-enabled N64 games across various genres. Standouts include F1 World Grand Prix 2 90%, GoldenEye 007 94%, ISS 64 91%, and FIFA 99 90%. Lower scoring titles like Hexen 64 50%, FIFA 64 40%, and Gex 64 45% are criticized for their graphics and gameplay. The article offers a snapshot of the N64 gaming landscape, highlighting popular genres of the time. This retro review highlights N64 memory pack options, including the reliable Nintendo Controller Pack, budget-friendly Spectra video cards, and high-capacity options from Joytech and Datel. The review then dives into game critiques. Standouts include the 90% scores for Mario Golf, Lylat Wars, and Mario Kart 64, praised for their fun gameplay and innovative remakes. Other games reviewed include Holy Magic Century, 84%, Iggy's Wrecking Balls, 83%, Madden Football, 64-86%, and Micro Machines, 64-87%. Lower scores were given to Lode Runner, 3D, 54%, and Milo's Astrolanes, 52%. Finally, a section celebrates memorable sidekicks from various N64 titles. This review page focuses on N64 racing wheels and game reviews. Several racing wheels are discussed, including the Thrustmaster Formula Race Pro, Performance V1 Racing Wheel, Interact V3FX and Vortex wheels, LMPG 64 Steering Wheel, Mad Catz N64 Wheel, Spectra Video Top Gear Wheel, ASC2 Wheel, and Guillemot Race 64 Compact. These range in features and price. Game reviews follow, with scores and brief descriptions. Highlights include Mortal Kombat 4 and NFL Quarterback Club 98, both scoring 90%. Other notable titles are Mission Impossible, 81%, Monaco GP 86%, and Mystical Ninja 2 75%. Games like Mortal Kombat Trilogy, MK Mythologies, and Monster Truck Madness received low scores. The reviews cover a variety of genres, including platformers, fighting games, sports simulations, and racing games. This page highlights N64 game sales, rentals, and mini-reviews. Electronics Boutique is promoting its top 10 sellers, including Mario Golf, Rugrats, and GoldenEye 007. Various games receive reviews. NHL 99 and Breakaway 98 score well for ice hockey fans, while Premier Manager 64 and Rayman 2 receive high marks. Pilot Wings 64 is a classic. Quake gets a low score. WWF Attitude is praised, with a focus on glamorous characters. The Blockbuster rental chart features WWF Attitude at number 1. The page recommends renting games before buying, especially those scoring 80 to 89%, like Revolt, given the cost of N64 games. This buyer's guide reviews N64 controllers and games. The official Nintendo controller is considered the best overall, though some third-party options like the SuperPad 64 and Macapad cater to left-handed players or specific genres. Other options include the G64, flashy but subpar, the Manta Ray, better than average, Trilogy 64, value bundle, the Stingray 64, slippery stick, and the Mirage, good response. Game reviews include high scores for Quake 2, Rogue Squadron, Super Mario 64, South Park, Shadow Man, and 1080 Degrees Snowboarding. Mixed scores were given to Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. Lower scores were received by Rampage, Superman, and others, illustrating the diverse quality of N64 games. The reviews provide a snapshot of the N64 library's offerings. This magazine issue reviews a variety of N64 games. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer gets a strong 90%, while Tetrisphere and the new Tetris score 83% and 74% respectively. Racing games like Top Gear Overdrive and Rally receive 85%, with Rally Edition 99 earning 90%. Wrestling titles WCW vs NWO and WWF Warzone score 86% and 90%, while WWF Attitude tops the genre at 91%. Turok and Turok 2, Seeds of Evil score 87% and 94% for shooter fans. Other notable scores include Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98-81%, Twisted Edge 78%, Vigilante 8 83%, Yoshi's Story 88%, and World Cup 98-90%. The clear winner is Zelda, with a massive 97%, hailed as the best game ever. This page is an advert for the Equalizer cheat code cartridge for the Nintendo 64. Remember those? Back when you actually had to plug something extra into your console to get cheats. None of this online nonsense. Warrington Knowles, this thing promises to let you cheat death in your N64 games, which sounds about right for the time. It boasts features like freeze mode and the code generator. Basically, it's claiming to give you all the good stuff. Infinite lives, extra weapons, infinite health, and even extra vehicles and characters, not forgetting infinite ammo. So if you were struggling with Turok 2, after that 94% review score they gave it, maybe this would have helped you out with those Seeds of Evil. There are little screenshots showing the menu system, looks pretty basic, but you can see it's got cheat codes for games like Duke 64, giving you infinite bullets. Fancy that. It's got a price tag of £19.99, which was a fair bit back then. Bullock. Apparently, it's the UK's best-selling Nintendo 64 cheat cartridge, according to ChartTrack, August 99. Right then. You could order it by calling 3World, or check out CodeJunkie's website bet. That website looks well retro now. You could even pick one up from HMV or Game or other retailers. It also mentions it's 100% Action Replay compatible, so if you already had one of those, maybe you didn't need this as well. This issue features tips and cheats for various N64 games, boasting over 90 tips guaranteed to work. Games covered include titles like GoldenEye, Legend of Zelda, WWF Attitude, and Star Wars Racer. A tip service and your scores section are also available. WWF Attitude receives specific attention, correcting previous errors and detailing how to unlock secret characters like Sable and Kurgan through specific championship wins. Winning titles also unlocks hidden modes like custom items and squeak mode. Star Wars Racer offers advice on speed, with cheat codes for Jedi powers. Command & Conquer gets a shout-out, noting its difficulty and providing a zooming tip for easier gameplay. Overall, it's a standard tips page for popular Min64 games of the era. This page provides tips for various N64 games. It begins with a basic controller guide, followed by cheat codes for Monster Truck Madness, and a humorous Wario reference. Quake 2 receives a spotlight, offering tips for a bonus level and infinite ammo. Finally, Mario Golf is highlighted, with advice on restarting holes and unlocking character outfits. The page caters to a range of players with a mix of genres, including racing, shooters, and sports, offering helpful tips and cheats for those looking to enhance their gameplay experience. This article offers retro gaming tips for the Nintendo 64. Official Nintendo Top 5 tips include attribute point manipulation in FIFA 99, extra health in Castlevania, a secret track code for Wipeout 64, an unlock everything password for Vigilante 8, and the infinite health milk trick in Zelda. Ocarina of Time. Bogus bonus reveals a sword club in Mario Golf after 3 holes in 1, and a level skipping code for Wario Land 2. All-Star Baseball 2000 features a bizarre giant green man transformation. Jungle Japes provides DK mode unlocks in GoldenEye 007 hunting knives, and WWF Attitude, big-headed fighters. Finally, a Turok 2 code transforms enemies into big-headed monkey types, and a blatant cheat for World Driver Championship. A call-in hotline is also advertised. This page is a right blast from the past, isn't it? It's a full-page advert for a cheat service. Cheats and tips for over 2,000 games it boasts, covering everything from the N64 and PlayStation to the Dreamcast, PC, and even the humble Game Boy. Back in the day, before the internet was in every home, if you were stuck on a game, These phone lines were your lifeline. Looking at the list of games they've got cheats for, it's a real who's who of N64 classics and some of the more, shall we say, interesting titles. You've got your big hitters, like Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye, Mario 64, Zelda, Ocarina of Time of course, and Diddy Kong Racing. Then there's stuff like Buck Bumble and Mischief Makers games that had their fans, I suppose. They've even got cheats for sports games like FIFA and Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey, essential for bragging rights down the pub. They're pushing a few different phone services here. One for just getting cheats and tips, another for a competition hotline where you can hunt the prize mistress to win prizes, and even a fax back service. Remember fax machines? Madness. It all feels very late 90s, doesn't it? The cheat master and cheat mistress characters are a bit cheesy, but hey, it probably worked at the time. 60 pence a minute for these calls though. Crikey, wouldn't want to be on hold for too long, trying to figure out how to beat that water temple in Zelda. This Your Tips section features reader-submitted game tips. A contest offers a controller for submissions. First, a tip for Vigilante 8 details how to take control of the Casino City airship via a ramp. Next, WWF Attitude showcases creative custom wrestler creations like Austin Powers and Spider-Man, highlighting the character creation mode's superiority over Warzone. FIFA 99's tip reveals an easy goal glitch involving a specific button press during one-on-one scenarios. Finally, a Command and Conquer tip suggests destroying churches as the Brotherhood of Nod to gain credits. The page, with tips from readers like Tom Major, Shane Thompson, and Robert Hutchison, reflects the era when magazines were primary sources for game strategies. This text provides N64 game tips. GoldenEye. Destroy all mainframes in Control by planting remote mines on the 2 ground floor and 2 upstairs computers. Pokemon Blue. Beat Sabrina with Ghost and Psychic Pokemon. Get strength in Fuchsia City and surf in the Safari Zone. Mewtwo is in Cerulean Cave after surfing from Route 24. Star Wars Rogue Squadron. The chicken level is for fun. Zelda. Ocarina of Time. Defeat Dark Link in the Water Temple with the giant sword. New game modes. Diddy Kong Racing Airstrike and GoldenEye Running Man. A reader needs help finding the last sculpture in the Spirit Temple. The article encourages readers to submit tips. Why? This issue features a high-score competition with challenges in 4 games: Star Wars Racer, Banjo-Kazooie, Mario Golf, and Duke Nukem 64. Players are instructed to submit specific screenshots to prove their scores. The Star Wars Racer challenge focuses on the Baru Coast track. Banjo-Kazooie requires all Freezy Peak jiggies. Mario Golf highlights speed golf. Duke Nukem 64 is a time trial on level 4. The results in full section list player scores. James Wigney leads in Rogue Squadron. Tony Dunster tops the Zelda Race Dampe challenge. David Munro leads in Star Wars Racers Baru Coast. Matthew Dalrymple dominates the GoldenEye Cradle Kills. The article showcases a fun, classic high-score competition with a retro gaming vibe. This article details a FIFA Mega Challenge for N64 owners, emphasizing its retro nature. The challenge, Footy Crazy, required players to achieve high scores in any FIFA game by playing a league and providing evidence of their final standings. Entrants had to submit screen captures and details via mail before the November 11, 1999 deadline. A strict "no cheating" policy was enforced, with warnings against exploiting the game. The challenge offered prizes like a Nintendo controller pad or Rumble Pack to high scorers. The final involved drawing teams and venues, with entrants disqualified if they couldn't attend. The challenge highlighted the competitive spirit of the era and the allure of prizes and recognition within the magazine's Hall of Fame. This guide focuses on Duke Nukem 0 Hours Victorian London level, specifically Part 3. The guide covers weapons, secrets, time machine parts, and even babe whereabouts. The level plunges Duke into 1888 London's East End, where he confronts plague-carrying zombies in the Whitechapel killings. Players are advised to use a gas mask and maintain distance. The guide then details finding a time machine part amidst London's fog. A boss fight against a giant parapsyche requires saved ammo, and a specific sequence involving boots and a chain. Finally, a gun-slinging tip highlights secret areas behind bookshelves, emphasizing the need for exploration. The guide seems comprehensive, offering practical advice for navigating this section of the game. The guide continues for Duke Nukem 0 Hour, focusing on 2 levels, Dawn of the Highgrave and Hydrogen Bomb. Dawn of the Highgrave is a cemetery level with a focus on key finding and puzzle solving. The The goal is to find a time machine part, navigating crypts, rotten trees, and pull chains. Hydrogen Bomb involves finding another time machine part and escaping by plane. This level takes place inside a plane, with Duke battling enemies in the cargo hold, rescuing babes, and locating the skeleton key. A secret area with atomic health is also highlighted. The guide then details the escape, requiring the skeleton key to reach the cockpit and fly the plane, while cautioning about crashing. It's a standard walkthrough, typical of the game's era. This Duke Nukem 0-hour level, the Rack, places Duke in a Scottish castle. The guide details the objective of infiltrating the castle walls. The player must navigate the moat, battle enforcers, collect the Volt Cannon, and destroy spore pods for atomic health. The level's next objective is to acquire a cyborg head, involving puzzle elements such as a secret library area and using a catapult rock. The final stage requires Duke to enter the Great Hall. He needs to locate the courtyard key in a torture chamber, followed by the doctor's bag, and then the Great Hall key in a workshop. After using the key, players place the cyborg head on a pedestal and defeat drone guards. Completing this level provides access to a secret level if all time machine pieces are collected. The Duke Nukem 0-hour guide continues with the Brainstorm level, where Duke faces a shielded alien mastermind. The level requires disabling 4 generators, each with unique challenges. Generator 1 involves cyber enforcers, Generator 2 demands speed, Generator 3 features a lowering ceiling, and Generator 4 combines platforming with button pressing. Her tip advises quickly eliminating virtual enforcers emerging from the generators. The guide then shifts to the Nukem Bros, set in an alternative New York, where Duke battles alternate timeline versions of himself. First, he faces cowboy and futuristic Duke, requiring strategic weapon use, traps, and specific tactics. Then, it's Victorian Army Duke, where the Gamma Cannon is crucial for Victorian Duke, and the Claw Autoloader and Atomic Health help against Army Duke. The strategy guide provides essential advice to navigate these increasingly complex and challenging encounters. This page continues the Duke Nukem 0-hour guide, moving on from those tricky Duke doppelgangers into the Alien Mother level, set in a rather different New York. First up, it's Defeat Sniper and Terminator Duke. Seems like you're facing a sniper version of Duke who's hiding up high, but apparently you can get him before he gets you. Then, just to make things interesting, Terminator Duke teleports in. Sounds like a right pain, but the advice is to strafe and fire. Next, it's Get the Bioemitter. Ah yes, the Bioemitter. Bit of a clever gadget, that one. Apparently you need it to get past force fields. The guide suggests using a gas mask in a spore egg room, taking out a brood mother, and then doing some underwater bit to grab it. Sounds like a bit of a trek for this device, but essential no doubt. Finally, it's Reach Generator Core. Right, this is the big finale for this level, I reckon, getting to the core to blow things up. It mentions cyborg enforcers are involved, naturally, and grabbing some atomic health. Sounds like a classic Duke level end. Clear out some enemies, grab power-ups, and get ready for a teleport out of there. Let's be honest, if you haven't figured out how to handle cyborg enforcers by this point, you've probably been playing with your feet. Still, good luck saving Earth and all that. This guide outlines the Destroy the Mothership level in Duke Nukem 0-hour. The goal is to power down generators to blow up the ship. The level involves navigating through areas, battling enforcers, and activating switches to shut down generators. You'll encounter Zero, who retreats, and then it's rooftop jumping to collect power-ups like the grenade launcher, atomic health, and BMF Thunderstrike. The guide also warns about hazards like falling from stomps, Zero's attacks, bolts, breath, lasers. The level culminates in a final battle against Zero, where using BMF and rockets is recommended. The guide teases the ending, promising a satisfying conclusion to the level's explosive action. This text reviews a guide for WWF Attitude on the N64, highlighting key aspects for gameplay. The guide, a scrapping school guide, covers basic elements like body slamming, mode tactics, finishing moves, and secret characters. It also discusses the Spirit Meter, a new mechanic replacing the stun meter from the previous game, emphasizing the importance of varied attacks to maintain it. The guide stresses the significance of tie-up moves, which are crucial for executing grapples and launching attacks. Learning these moves, each with varying damage levels, allows players to effectively counter opponents using a rock-paper-scissors style system involving punch, kick, and tie-up button combinations. Overall, the guide offers introductory advice on mastering the core mechanics of WWF Attitude. 2. This guide for WWF Attitude on the N64 offers essential tips for success. Stunning, pinning, and submissions covers the fundamentals. Stunning opponents for big hits, pinning after damage, and using submissions. Mode Tactics explains match types like I Quit, pay-per-view, weapons matches, and First Blood. D-Men in Tights highlights the Creator-Wrestler mode, emphasizing deep customization of appearance and move sets, including finishes. Finally, Wrestling Skills details advanced tactics like environmental attacks and strategic move selection. Overall, the guide provides a comprehensive overview of the game's mechanics, moving beyond simple button mashing to a more strategic style of play. This page is all about the rule breakers in WWF Attitude, those wrestlers who aren't afraid to bend the rules a bit, the dirty fighters. They've got bios and move lists for a bunch of them. Starting with D'Lo Brown, they highlight his sky-high trademark move and low-down finisher. Then there's The Undertaker, naturally, with his chokeslam and iconic tombstone. Bradshaw, Steve Blackman, Ken Shamrock, Goldust, Dr. Death, Steve Williams, and Big Bossman are also featured, each with their signature moves like Shamrock's Shamrock Ankle Lock and Goldust's Shattered Dreams. It's classic Attitude, showcasing the more edgy side of wrestling at the time. Below the wrestlers, there's a cheats section, because who didn't love a good cheat code back in the day? It mentions that playing career mode and winning the title bout unlocks cool cheats. They list a few, like the WWF Heavyweight title cheat, which does something daft with language and ego modes. There are also cheats for SummerSlam, PPV, and Royal Rumble PPV, specifying which wrestlers to use. It's all pretty standard cheat stuff for games of this era, encouraging you to mess around once you've played through it properly. This magazine issue focuses on fan favorites, wrestlers prioritizing crowd appeal over winning. Featured are Kane, known for the throat toss and tombstone Kane, Mankind with the double arm DDT and mandible claw, Gangrel with the float-over vertical suplex and implant DDT, HH, using the sit-down powerbomb and pedigree, Road Dogg, showcasing the Crazy Legs knee drop and Stretch Armstrong, and The Rock with the People's Elbow and Rock Bottom. A cheats section reveals unlockables in career mode. Winning titles multiple times unlocks features. For instance, winning the Intercontinental title with Jacqueline or China unlocks attribute boosts and big head mode. The European belt unlocks squeaky mode, and new creator wrestler clothes when won with Sable and Mark Mero. King of the Ring unlocks by using Kurgan and Taka Michinoku. Next month promises more wrestler profiles and tactics for success. This page from a bygone era showcases N64 consoles and accessories. The N64 itself is priced at £66.99, with bundles including games like Mario 64 and GoldenEye. The page advertises N64 wheels for racing games, rumble packs for £15, and colourful controllers. A wide selection of N64 games, both new and used, are listed, including classics and lesser-known titles, with a section dedicated to US game imports. There's also information about trading in games and a miscellaneous section offering memory cards and other accessories, creating a comprehensive N64 shopping experience. This page is another blast from the past, proper retro gaming gold here. Looks like a full-page advert for a shop called Wickedware. They were knocking out all sorts of Nintendo gear back in the day. We're talking action figures, right? Mario Kart, Diddy Kong Racing, Zelda figures, Tekken, and even a bit of Crash Bandicoot for the PlayStation crowd who strayed over to Nintendo mags. They even had Tomb Raider and Final Fantasy figures, bit random but hey, it was the 90s. Hemo. Then you've got your licensed Nintendo stuff, plush toys, Pokemon beanies were massive then, everyone had a Pikachu or something hanging off their backpack. Game Boy Color was still king, wasn't it? £58.99, bargain, and Pokemon Red and Blue for 75 quid. Or you could get the console and a game for 75, that was a good deal. They've listed loads of Game Boy accessories too, proper deep dive into the Game Boy world. Loads of Game Boy games listed. Page after page of them in these mags, wasn't there? Must have been hundreds of games for that thing. Some classics in there, no doubt. And a load of shovelware as well, let's be honest. And then key rings, watches, all that kind of stuff. Right at the bottom they're pushing PlayStation and Dreamcast, trying to get everyone in it seems. Dreamcast for £189.99, that was still pretty pricey. You had to really want your Shenmue back then. Good times, good times. This Club Mario Letters page features a flurry of excitement for Nintendo games in 1999. Pokémon dominates the discussion, with readers and the magazine's Tim praising its addictive nature and upcoming releases. Players rave about the Player's Choice N64 range, particularly Mario Kart 64, F1 World Grand Prix, and Lilat Wars. Donkey Kong 64, Jet Force Gemini, and South Park Rally also generate buzz, with some predicting record sales. A review of Command & Conquer on N64 highlights its strategy gameplay, though some graphics and enemy airstrikes are criticized. The page also includes a quiz, Brain Strain, with questions on various Nintendo titles, and a Who's the Hero? Guessing game. This page is continuing on with the readers' letters and quiz sections. Who's the Hero? This time is about wrestling games. Someone's clearly been enjoying WCW/NWO Revenge and looking forward to WrestleMania 2000, bless them. Then there's Name That Game, which is a bunch of clues to guess different titles, nothing too taxing, looks like a bit of fun. The main bit is Hidden Heroes, where they've pixelated some game characters, and we have to guess who they are based on clues and reader comments. Everyone's still banging on about Shadow Man being scary. It was alright, I suppose. Someone mentions Project Dolphin, which we now know was the GameCube. They were hyped about seeing screenshots of Mario Kart 3. Eager beavers, weren't they? More talk about Pokemon, of course, red and blue versions, which version to get, the usual debate. Someone is excited about the new Zelda game, which at the time would have been Majora's Mask, and mentions the wait for Pokemon Stadium and Pokemon Snap 2. Getty. There's a bit about being disappointed with the price of Donkey Kong 64, 60 quid. That was a lot back then, but they point out it comes with the expansion pack, so that made it slightly less painful on the wallet. Finally, there's Ultimate Warrior, with some reader art and another question, this time about coming up with ideas for the section. Looks like a light-hearted page full of reader interaction and game chat, much like the last one. This page is all about the Pokemon craze hitting the UK. It's headlined Played to Death, which is pretty accurate. Everyone was obsessed back then. Apparently some lucky folks got to play it early, before it even properly launched, and they were already hooked. The page dives into reader opinions under the title On Your Own, talking about the single-player experience. They're quoting kids, typical magazine style. Headley's saying he'll be glued to his Game Boy finding every single Pokemon, reckons he's got a level 50 Articuno already, showing off a bit there. Hamish reckons it's the best Game Boy game ever, wants the red version, naturally. Warrington me. Then there's Jack, who says the adventure is so good he's skipping meals and sleep. Bit dramatic, but we've all been there with a new game. Richard is talking about the RPG elements, liking the exploring and chatting to people, and Leroy's on the hunt to catch 'em all 150 of them, ambitious. The other section, A Great Adventure, must be about multiplayer. There's a little red triangle pointing out that you can link up to battle, settle who's the ultimate Pokemaniac. They're teasing what's coming next month, Who's Caught, suggesting more Pokemon coverage. Yeah, Pokemon was a massive deal, and this page is pure 90s Nintendo magazine hype for it. The article highlights the multiplayer aspect of Pokemon, emphasizing battling and trading as the core experience. Player testimonials praise the linking feature, with users like James and Jaycon recommending it. Others, such as William, Jack, and Koivu, enjoy battling to expand their collections and test their skills. A Challenge Us section promotes a UK Pokemon League, inviting readers to submit their teams for competition. The magazine showcases high-level Pokemon, aiming to impress. Additional segments include Pokemaniac of the Month, offering prizes for sharing favorite Pokemon and game preferences, and Poke Art, encouraging Charmander-themed drawings for a chance to win. The magazine's goal is to promote community interaction. Easy. This Club Mario Letters page is a nostalgic trip back to the N64 era. Readers are offering mixed opinions, including complaints about a free Jar Binks toy. Praise is given to Premier Manager 64, while the Game Boy camera gets defended. South Park Rally is compared to Mario Kart 64. The page features reader-submitted top 5 charts, showcasing popular games like Super Mario 64, Zelda, and Banjo-Kazooie. One reader even sent in a picture dressed as Turok. Mario's hit list asks for letters with N64-related questions, offering a game as a prize. Discussions include Christmas wish lists and opinions on Pokemon and Zelda. The Who's the Hero clue points to Duke Nukem. The delay of Perfect Dark is also mentioned. Ultimately, the letters are filled with reader opinions and feedback. This page advertises several contests, common in gaming magazines of the time. A Lego Block Party competition asks where Legoland is located. Windsor. The Boys Done Good offers copies of Premier Manager 64, with a Champions League trivia question. Blagfest is a general giveaway with mixed prizes. Spooky Fun features Shadow Man, offering game copies with a character name trivia question. Finally, Just the Tonic gives away Tonic Trouble Packs, including the game and merchandise, with a character name question. The page aimed to boost magazine sales by engaging gamers with N64 game-related competitions and a bit of Lego. This page of Nintendo news is bang on, right in the thick of the N64 era. They're promising all the best info on Nintendo games, straight from the horse's mouth, as they say. Looking at the N64 titles they've got lined up, it's a proper mixed bag. You've got your big hitters like Castlevania 2, Resident Evil 2, Ridge Racer 64 and Super Smash Bros. Naturally. Then there's some of the more, let's say, unique choices, like 40 Winks and Earthworm Jim 3D, which were certainly something. Excite Bike 64 and Destruction Derby were solid racers in their day though, can't knock them. And blimey, Xena Warrior Princess on the N64? Someone thought that was a good idea. Jockey Look. Over on the Game Boy Color side, it's Pokemon Yellow and Street Fighter Alpha, can't go wrong with those two, classics for the handheld. Jockey Look. The main feature here is International Superstar Soccer Millennium, or ISS as we all knew it back then. Konami were always good for a decent football game, and this one's being hyped up with improved gameplay, career mode, and tougher keepers. They're making a big deal about the keepers being harder to beat, and pulling off super saves, with screenshots to prove it, showing off diving goalies and overhead kicks. March 2000 release date, so this is a look ahead to what's coming. They reckon it'll be the best soccer sim ever. Bit of a bold claim, but we'll see about that. This page is all about International Superstar Soccer Millennium for the N64. It's basically a full-page spread showing off the game. You've got a couple of beefy-looking players on screen, one in what looks like an Italian kit, red with green trim, going up against a chap in a white and blue England shirt. The graphics, well, they are what they are for the time, eh? You can see the pixels, but back then this was cutting-edge stuff apparently. Down at the bottom there's a bit of text saying all the top international teams are in there, even England if you fancy it. So it's basically just building hype for ISS Millennium, which they were pushing as the big footy game to watch out for. This review focuses on International Superstar Soccer Millennium for the N64, highlighting its features and gameplay. It emphasizes the game's replay options, diverse goal-scoring techniques, and dramatic moments like yellow card tackles. The review then delves into the Choose a Career mode, allowing players to personalize their experience through player selection, team choices, and skill development across 3 seasons. It also promotes improved ball physics and refereeing, aiming for a more refined gameplay experience. Overall, the review praises the game's strengths, especially its career mode, while suggesting minor improvements. The publication seems to be positioning ISS Millennium as a premier football game for the N64. This page advertises a classic phone-in competition, reminiscent of old magazine promotions, with a focus on winning prizes. The featured game is Mini Racers for the N64, a 3D racer with a track editor, similar to Revolt but aimed at a family-friendly audience. The competition offers a diverse range of prizes, including a mini-disc player, Game Boy Color, mobile phone, handheld TV, and even a Dreamcast and PlayStation driving seat. Entrants could call a number associated with their desired prize, answer a question, and hope to win. Calls cost £1 per minute, with a £3 maximum. The competition concluded at the end of November 1999. The N64 version of Resident Evil 2 is highlighted, emphasizing its movie quality and horror elements, a significant achievement for the console era. The article covers the classic Resident Evil storyline, featuring Leon and Claire battling zombies in Raccoon City. The review showcases cutscenes, playfully comparing the N64's capabilities to its competitor, the PlayStation. Screenshots depict iconic scenes like zombie ambushes and close encounters with enemies. The review praises the game's suspenseful atmosphere, jump scares, and gruesome enemies, including lickers and strangling plants. It highlights the effective use of camera angles to build tension. Despite the N64's cartridge limitations, the game successfully captures the scary movie feel of the original, making a strong impression on the reviewers. This page is still going on about Resident Evil 2, and to be fair, it does look rather good on the N64. They're going on about interactive items, which just means picking up herbs and guns, but hey, it's all part of the game. And, yeah, item boxes to store stuff like you're going on holiday or something, not escaping zombies. They're still banging on about the scary atmosphere, dark alleys, and zombies jumping out. You'd think they'd never seen a horror game before, but the magazine is definitely hyping it up, calling it the scariest game of your life. bit much, but they're trying to say the N64 can do proper grown-up games, not just fluffy platformers. News-wise, Perfect Dark's been delayed until April 2000. Cheers Rare, Tom very much. At least Jet Force Gemini and Donkey Kong 64 are still coming for Christmas, so that's something to look forward to. Driver on the Game Boy Color is mentioned, which is a bit of a laugh, wonder how that'll work. And more Game Boy Color stuff, with WWF Wrestling and another Pokemon, aimed at the kids no doubt. For the sports crowd, NBA Courtside 2 with Kobe Bryant on the N64. So mix of games coming, but Resident Evil 2 is still the main event here, showing the N64 can do more than just kiddie stuff. This page is a full-page advert, right in your face, for the Pokemon Master Guide. It's shouting, catch it while you can, trying to get everyone hyped up for this special edition guide from Nintendo Magazine. It claims to be the ultimate guide to beating Pokemon, and it's coming from the experts at Nintendo, which is a bit cheeky, but hey, they know their audience. It lists a load of stuff it includes, like Pokemon toys and stuff, level maps, info on all 150 Pokemon, official Pokemon League bits, training hints, and even multiplayer tips. Basically, everything you could possibly want to know about Pokemon Red and Blue at the time, crammed into one guide. It's priced at £3.50, which wasn't too bad back then for a guide, and they've even stuck a 50p off coupon at the bottom to try and tempt you even more. The image is classic Pokemon stuff. Pikachu looking all cheerful, Ash Ketchum looking like he's ready to battle. They're really pushing the complete solution angle, saying it'll help you beat the game, bash the bosses, ace all the Pokemon facts, and get all the stats. Basically, they're saying if you buy this you'll be a Pokemon master. It's textbook marketing for kids, but let's be honest, plenty of us older gamers probably grabbed one of these back in the day too, just to make sure we didn't miss anything in our quest to catch 'em all. Konami's Castlevania 64, an action-adventure set before the original, aims for a spooky atmosphere. It features improved graphics and lets players choose from 4 characters. The reviewer, a fan of the series, is hopeful despite the lack of multiplayer. Screenshots show a moody, albeit blocky, Castlevania aesthetic with classic monsters like Medusa. Excitebike 64, a predictable but welcome addition to the N64 library, offers tuned-up motorbikes and off-road courses. It boasts various racing options, including stadium and rally tracks, along with multiplayer. A standout feature is the track editor, allowing for custom courses. The game emphasizes detail, even down to the bike's appearance. It appears to be a solid racer for the N64. Ready 2 Rumble Boxing, an arcade boxing game for the N64, is presented as a comedic fighting experience. The game features colorful, albeit blocky, graphics and quirky characters like Afro Thunder and Celine Strike. The power punches and knockouts are highlighted. While considered fun and exciting, the review suggests it might not have long-term appeal compared to other boxing games. Hot Wheels Turbo Racing, also reviewed, offers arcade-style racing with mini-cars on tracks with loops and ramps. It boasts over 40 cars and 12 courses, along with features like turbo boosts and track splits. The game is described as standard arcade racing fare, and potentially enjoyable for fans of Hot Wheels. This page previews upcoming games focused on speed and beat-em-ups. Ridge Racer 64 is finally coming to the N64 in November, featuring 20 cars, tracks from previous Ridge Racer games, plus new N64 tracks, and a 4-player mode. While praised for its speed, the multiplayer needs some tweaking. Fast News reports a debunked Game Boy Advance hoax, and confirms Ready 2 Rumble is coming to Game Boy Color, offering a similar experience to the N64 version. Street Fighter Alpha is also coming to the Game Boy Color, with 2-player link-up and all special moves included. Finally, a new golf game, European PGA Golf, is slated for February, aiming to compete with Mario Golf with professional courses and players. Destruction Derby, a racing smash-em-up from THQ slated for a November 1999 release on the N64, prioritized chaos over clean racing. The game focuses on wrecking other cars to score points, embracing total mayhem, cool multiplayer, and awesome crashes. The gameplay involves road rage and destruction, with multiplayer modes like Capture the Flag and Hot Potato adding to the fun. The game showcases car wrecks and explosions. The reviewer finds the game dead simple, but a barrel of laughs, especially in multiplayer, promising high-octane fun. This advertisement promotes UKGames.com's Special Reserve Club membership for £6.99. The ad boasts 500,000 members and lures potential customers with free gifts like memory cards and an inflatable armchair, plus a magazine subscription, competitions, and cheat codes. The site focuses on Nintendo 64 games, featuring titles such as Gex 64, Jet Force Gemini, and WWF Attitude, along with a wide selection of other N64 games at reasonable prices. They also offer peripherals like controllers, rumble packs, and even a rumble vest. The ad concludes with Game Boy Color games, particularly Pokémon, and books, aiming to cater to all Nintendo gamers. Essentially, it's a mail-order promotion designed to entice sign-ups through discounts and incentives. The N64 game 40 Winks is a 3D platformer where players control Rough and Tumble, tasked with saving the Winks, creatures that bring good dreams, from the villain Nightcap. The game promises super graphics and great play controls, exploring 6 diverse worlds: space, prehistoric, pirate, castle, underwater, and nightmare. Ruff can acquire temporary costume changes via Jack-in-the-Boxes, granting new abilities, as seen in screenshots showcasing ninja and robot outfits. Helpful tips are provided by the character Wakey Wakey. The game, published by GT Interactive, is set to release in November 1999, aiming to fill the platformer void on the N64. This page is all about 40 Winks on the N64. Continuing on from the last page, we get a really close look at Ninja Ruff, one of the costumes he can don, proper cartoony style. It mentions that each costume gives our two heroes new magical powers, which sounds a bit like a gimmick, but hey, platformers back then were all about that sort of thing. They've got a couple of screenshots showing the game in action. One is in the horrid haunted house level, where apparently collecting Zaz gives you health points. Simple stuff, but effective. They also mention smashing treasure chests for hidden goodies. Get 'em quick, they say, which is always good advice in a platformer. Then there's a bit called We Think, where they reckon platform fans are in for a treat. Loads of ace-looking worlds to explore and a spot-on control system, they say. Bit generic praise, to be honest, but they are building up to the full review in next month's issue, so they can't give it all away just yet. Sounds like they're setting it up to be a good for the N64, filling that platformer gap. This article previews 2 upcoming N64 games. Xena, Warrior Princess. The Talisman of Fate, developed by Titus, is a beat-em-up featuring characters from the show, including Xena using her chakram. Screenshots reveal a clunky appearance, reminiscent of a previous Hercules game, with battles against Dahak, Gabrielle, Callisto, and Hope. The preview expresses cautious optimism, promising a full review later. Yigori. The second preview focuses on Earthworm Jim 3D, a platformer set within Jim's warped mind. The article highlights the game's bizarre elements, such as snowboarding on a pig and a laser hairdryer, emphasizing the series' trademark absurdity, including the bovine special elite. The article anticipates the game will deliver madcap fun. This advert from Gameplay, a mail-order company, heavily promoted Nintendo 64 products. They emphasized a money-back guarantee on console bundles, which included popular titles like Mario 64, Zelda, and GoldenEye, alongside accessories like dust covers and steering wheels. The advert showcased a wide variety of N64 games, spanning genres from racing, Beetle Adventure Racing, and sports titles, FIFA, NBA, to platformers, Banjo-Kazooie, and even controversial titles like South Park. Accessories such as carry cases, rumble packs, memory cards, cheat cartridges, and hint books were also available. The ad concluded with a classic mail-order form, requiring physical mailing for orders, a stark contrast to modern online shopping. The article highlights upcoming games. Super Smash Bros. For N64 is a chaotic multiplayer beat-em-up featuring Nintendo characters like Mario and Link, arriving in the UK in December. Fast News reveals NBA Jam 2000 endorsed by Chris Webber, offering arcade-style basketball. Namco is bringing classic arcade games like Pac-Man to the N64 next spring. There's also NBA Showtime, promising more dunks. Shadow Man is getting a sequel, with the console yet to be revealed. For Game Boy Color, Rugrats Time Traveler sees the characters exploring different historical eras. Finally, Pokémon Yellow features a Pikachu that won't evolve and requires earned trust, launching next March. This page is wall-to-wall adverts, classic magazine style. First up we have Console King, pushing their mail-order service, Games 2000 they're calling it, catchy. They're flogging N64 consoles for £110, and Game Boy Colors for £55. Seems a bit steep now, but back then, that was the going rate. They've got a list of N64 games, mentioning titles like Zelda, Donkey Kong 64, Perfect Dark, Jet Force Gemini. All the big hitters. And Pokemon, of course, red and blue version at £19.99. Can't move for Pokemon back then. They've got the whole Pokemon merch line too. Pinball, trading cards, plush toys, pens and they works. It's a proper Pokemon blitz. Over on the right, there's a massive ad screaming Nintendo 64 cheats and tips. Remember those cheat lines you used to phone? 60 pence a minute, daylight robbery. But we all used them, didn't we? Especially for those tricky N64 games. They're promising cheats for over 2,000 games, across many N64, PlayStation, Dreamcast, PC and Game Boy. Blimey ambitious. Grubbioli. Down at the bottom, another ad for Cybernet video games experts, mail order again, but this time, they're plugging their website very modern. And another one, King Cat Entertainment, free membership apparently for lowest prices. They're also pushing Game Boy and Color Game Boy games. Looks like everyone wanted a slice of that gaming pie back then. All in all, pretty standard games advert page from the era. All mail order and phone lines. Pre-internet dominance really. This magazine issue heavily promotes its upcoming content, using classic hype tactics like large text and superlatives. Donkey Kong 64 is the main focus, promising comprehensive coverage with phrases like, all Kongs controlled, and a, go buy it the 12th of November release date. The issue also features updates and reviews of various Nintendo 64 games. Updated sections include Ridge Racer 64 and Chef's Love Shack, while reviewed games are Turok Rage Wars and the groundbreaking Super Smash Bros. The issue concludes with a section of game guides and cheats, a staple of magazines before the internet. This page is all about Resident Evil 2 for the N64. Right on the cover, massive zombie head and all, can't miss it. Looks like they're really pushing the boat out with this one, promising to show all the monsters, blood-splattering levels, brave heroes, and creepy in-game movies. Sounds like your typical Resident Evil fare. Below that, they've got a little tip section, showing screenshots for WWF Attitude. Seems like they've got a ringside guide for that wrestling game. Then there's Shadow Man, which was a bit of a dark horse. Mystical masterclass they're calling it. Bit much maybe? And lastly, codes and cheats, which everyone always wanted back then. Off to the right they're shouting about the Game Boy Color, reviewing portable PAL games. Remember when the Game Boy Color was a big deal? Amazing colors and all that jazz? Down at the bottom it mentions, Special Offers Club Mario. Looks like the usual magazine stuff, trying to get you signed up to their club for special deals. Overall, it's a pretty standard games mag cover, all about the big N64 releases and a bit of handheld stuff on the side. This 90s Christmas gift guide showcases popular items of the era. The guide promotes the Star Wars Episode 1 battle set and Resident Evil 2 action figures. South Park videos and the Rugby World Cup final are also mentioned. Handhelds like the Game Boy Light, promoted for its screen brightness, are featured alongside Pokemon cards and theme decks, reflecting the craze at the time. Finally, the guide includes a double-bladed lightsaber and WCW wrestling figures, possibly capitalizing on the wrestling game's popularity. This snapshot captures the cool items of the pre-Christmas shopping season. This page is a collection of phone-in competitions typical of the era. Prizes include Pokemon Red or Blue games with a Game Boy Color, and various Pokemon goodies. Console giveaways feature a Nintendo 64, PlayStation, and Sega Dreamcast, along with their respective accessories. Other prizes range from a Pentium 2 laptop and PC with a DVD drive, a digital Panasonic pay-as-you-talk phone, a TV and video combi, and South Park stuff. Several minigame competitions offer chances to win TVS, stereos, and PlayStations. PrizeBuster offers bigger prizes, like pool tables, and a Pentium 2 computer for accumulating points. The standard disclaimer applies. Calls are expensive, and permission from the bill payer is required. Ultimately, the page is designed to entice gamers with a variety of prizes in exchange for expensive phone calls. This page then, blimey, it's a right blast from the past, an advert for South Park VHS tapes. VHs, remember those dinosaurs? They're trying to flog these sweet box sets, volumes 13, volumes 46, and even a series 2 set. The big sell is if you actually bought one of these relics, you got a free documentary, Going Down to South Park, absolutely free they shout, with a kick-ass, for good measure. Mr. Hanky, the Christmas poo is even there waving at you from the top. Charming. It's peak late 90s, isn't it? South Park was everywhere, causing a stir, but everyone secretly loved it. Looks like they were shifting these videotapes before they became completely obsolete. Good times, sort of.